here in just a minute. All right, it says we're live.
Looks
So,
like it.
welcome. We're just going to do a little hangout here with James Mackintosh. So last time you were on, we talked about cars.
Yep.
It turns out that you're also interested in knives.
Yeah. I am primarily a car guy, but secondarily a knife guy. I've always kind of had
your mic there. I'm getting robot voice out of you.
Robot voice.
Yeah.
Let's see here. That's weird. Oh, there we go.
There, better.
How about now?
Yeah, good.
Okay. Yeah, I had to switch my input. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So you're, as I was saying, you're a car guy with an encyclopedic knowledge, and you're turning into that with the knife world now.
So I've always been a car guy since I was, yay tall, and I've always had a secondary interest that's kind of come and gone. But when I started working on cars professionally, I started getting kind of tired of doing car stuff all the time in my spare time. It's like if you do it at work, you don't really want to do it at home. And I'd always been into knives, but at that point, once I started professionally working on cars, maybe 5 years ago, I started getting more into knives as a hobby, and so they've always I've always been drawn to knives, and so I've kind of jumped in with both feet lately.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. You're working on a review right now.
Yeah. So maybe a year or two ago, I started writing for. It was at the time it was called Best Pocket Knife Today, which is a really terrible name. And then the name of the site was changed to Knife Informer. And so I met the owner of the site, Matt, on the I think on the Knife Club subreddit. And I was like, well, I have a lot of experience writing because previously I had written for Car Throttle for like 6 or 7 years doing reviews and editorials. And I said, well, I like knives, and I'm kind of an analytical person, so maybe I'll try knife reviews. And he said, sure, give it a shot. And so I started writing reviews, and they seem to have come out pretty well. So I've been doing that for a while now. So yeah, I'm working on a review currently of the SA Zancudo in D2.
All right, I'm gonna bring that up here. I have that up on window here, so I will share that up. And if you give me a second, I'll present it to everyone. There we go. So there's the knife we're talking about. And you have it in D2, so it's one of these top three.
Top left one, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is Blade HQ. They have a lot of really kind of good stuff on here. And I've bought quite a bit from them over the years, especially some butterfly or balisong knives I've bought from them, and other things like that. So this is the knife we're talking about. It's 2.94 inches. Looks like what, a G10 handle?
It's a polymer of some sort with a nested stainless liner underneath.
Okay, so they had another one, the rat folder, that was kind of like this, only different shape to the handle, I think.
Yeah, and the rat is a liner lock, and this is a frame lock.
Yeah, a frame lock.
Primary difference.
Okay.
I gotta grab it out of my box here. I got it.
Okay, I'm gonna
camera.
Yeah, I'll put you up here.
Oh, okay.
All right, there. So you can show it. Yeah.
So that's the lock side. You got the little mosquito / knife hybrid, and that's the show side. So it's like a textured polymer of some sort. It's not G10. It's a little more plasticky feeling than G10.
Some sort of a plastic.
Yeah, we're talking about shades of gray, but it is
probably injection molded. Plastic of some sort. I think that's what they had on the rat folder.
I believe so. I sadly haven't handled a rat yet. It's on my short list of things, but from what I understand, they are made by the same company overseas.
Let's see. Let me do this again. So handle thickness. Oh, I gotta scroll down on my other window. I always get confused here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fairly thin knife for a frame lock.
Uh-huh. Yep. Well, just without giving away your review, what do you think so far?
There's a lot of stuff to like about it. There's also a lot of stuff to hate about it. It's a mixed bag, and a lot of knives are not. They're either mostly good or mostly junk. But this is a mixed bag. The blade itself is really nice. It's the first knife I've had in D2, which is weird because D2 is a really common steel. But I want to try out a D2 blade, and I've wanted to try out one of these SA folders. So the blade shape itself is super practical. It actually reminds me a lot of the primary blade on like Victorinox Swiss Army knives. How it's kind of
again, would you?
Yeah, sure. Sorry. It's kind of a.
Oh yeah, it's just a drop point.
Yeah, it's a real neutral drop point. Like the center axis of the blade is almost even with the pivot. So it's like, some brands will call it a drop point, but there's not a whole lot of drop. Like Lion Steel, like you'll have, your center axis here, and then the drop point is here, and then you've got this much belly. So it's kind of like a folding axe. So I really like the blade shape quite a lot on it. It's full flat ground too, so it slices really well, and it takes I don't know if you can pick it up real well in the camera, but it takes a monstrously sharp edge pretty easily. This is just on a Spyderco Sharpmaker with the standard stones. The lock is pretty bad. Other people that have had these have said, "Oh, it's great. I love the lock. It's perfect." Mine has about 50% of the time lock rock, like vertical blade play. And you can also, you can kind of force the lock in more, and it kind of makes a springing.
Yeah, I see that.
Which is for a frame lock. I'm not so keen on that. And when I got it, the detent was just, it's just way too stiff. And like, I'm not a giant, pansy, like fake beard, can't change my entire plaid wearing hipster, like, but it tore my thumb up. Like I had to switch knives for a week for my thumb to heal because the detent was so strong, and the thumb stud is kind of sharp on the edges that it sort of chewed my finger up. But it's broken in well now, but I'm not real happy with the lock. But beyond that, I mean, it's super thin. It carries really well. The blade shape is, you see all these weird blade shapes that are not particularly useful, I don't think, anyway. Like I have nothing against Brian Ty, and he's a really cool designer, but most of his blade shapes are like, what'd you do with that? Or a lot of like the mixed rider custom stuff with the compound grinds. Like this is like the antithesis of that, where it's, here is a normal full flat ground drop point that's not made out of like, super thick stock, and it's thin behind the edge, and it's great. I love the blade, and it carries well, but just an iffy lock. That's my short take on it.
Yeah, I'd say so there's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they're super cool looking. Like nothing against him, but like it's nothing I would carry. Because I'm a mechanic. That's obviously, I already mentioned that. So I use my knives day to day in work, and so I want stuff that works, and also that isn't a total bitch to resharpen.
Right. So we have a viewer from Chile.
Oh, cool.
Says, hello from Chile, South America. Nice knife.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got this one on Blade HQ too, actually, just like what you were showing earlier. And I have to say their customer service is top notch. I asked them to draw a picture of a cat holding a knife on the packaging, because you can enter comments on there, any special requests, and their shipping department has a sense of humor, and they'll do stuff like that.
So Chile expat family says, I lost a knife like that in the pasture working and need to get another one like the one you have. Well, Blade HQ is your place, and they're not paying me to say any of this. In fact, nobody pays me, and nobody gives me anything for free. Anything you see that I hold up on here, with the exception of some of Jim's stuff, James Nowka with American Knife Company will occasionally give me a knife. This is one of my favorite knives. It's his small or compact forest. But anyway, I do occasionally get some free stuff from him just because we're friends and we hang out a lot, and they're like extras or whatever. And I always tell you that, but anything else, like I actually pay for it. So if I say I have a good opinion of something, nobody's telling me to do that. Blade HQ, do they ship international? I'm sure they do. Let me look it up here. Blade HQ.
I think it largely depends on the laws of the country they're shipping into, but
yeah, I don't think they care all that much.
Yeah.
So it's literally just www.bladehq.com, and you can look on there. They may have more information on where they ship and all that. Most of these places do ship international. So
I would also point out that they, in addition to having good prices on knives, this knife was, including shipping, it was like $2 and something cheaper than buying it on Amazon. And I personally fucking hate buying stuff on Amazon because I feel like I can hear, Rage Against the Machine's Evil Empire playing in the background every time I give Amazon money. But so they were like $2 cheaper than Amazon. The shipping was longer, but I've already got a bunch of knives. I don't need it. I don't need it to show up the next day. They have a real positive influence in the knife community, I believe. I think that they do a lot of good, and they're not just like, oh, we sell knives. Like, they're knife people selling knives to other knife people. Their YouTube channel is, I only have so much time for YouTube, but I always have time for Blade HQ's, what's the show they have? I can't remember, but Blade HQ's web series is great. So I would just say they're worth checking out on YouTube, and they seem like a good bunch of guys. So I like to support businesses like that when I can. Yeah,
there's a couple other places that I buy from. One of them is Knives Ship Free. That's a good place. Another one is DLT Trading, and they're really good company too. And then there's another one that I actually bought. If you remember, I bought my Benchmade proppers from there.
Do you have both blade shapes?
I just have. Let me put myself up here real quick. So here it is. Razor Sharp Unlimited is another place. This is for those who are interested. Is another good knife company or knife reseller, and they I have bought some stuff from them. And actually, for a while we had a discount code with them for the podcast. So they were giving people like some money off and stuff, but they're good.
Another small local one I would like to plug is it's Pinchetta, Penchetta. They're in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay.
And they have a lot of high-end stuff. They also have, Benchmade Spydercos and Zero Tolerance, but they have a lot of customs, and they also have a lot of high-end pins. And I know that that's something I haven't quite started throwing money at yet, but I feel like I might soon. I think that custom pins and high-end knives kind of go hand in hand. And a lot of makers make both. I know Hinderer makes both. But that's another good local business that you should check out their website, or check them out locally if you find yourself in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is coincidentally where my father-in-law lives. So
very nice. Yeah. So Anthony Scolombrini, who I've been trying to have him do a live stream with me, but it's just kind of fallen through because of scheduling stuff. But anyway, he's really into the pens thing.
Yeah.
I think it's because he I think it's because he's a lawyer and he has to write a lot.
Yeah.
The guys that like pens and knives also tend to like flashlights and watches.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of the type that I have like one or two watches and they work, and then I'm pretty done.
I wear this 99.99% of the time. It's a Bluetooth G-Shock from like 2014. I wear it to work. I wear it around the house. It keeps really good time because you can sync it to your phone, and it's literally been run over by a car and it didn't break. Literally, one of my coworkers ran it over while I left it on the floor. So I like G-Shocks personally, but watches to me are a hole I just don't want to dive down.
Yeah.
Because it's like throwing money into a fire, and like, you know, there are better ways to heat your home than $20 bills.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, so there's a watch company that both Jim and I really like. They make both non-automatic and automatic watches, and they also, you know, like have tritium dials and things like that. It's Marathon watch. Let me see if I can find it here. They're, for what you pay, they're like fantastic. I'll put this up on the screen here.
I've heard of them.
Because you basically, you know, there's only so many places that make mechanisms for watches, right? So like for automatic watches, there's only so many companies that make those. So you can get these nice, well, now it's not loading for some reason, but these are great watches, and you don't pay a huge amount of money for them, you know. And a lot of times they'll have like the same, let me see. I'll try to find it here.
Aren't these retailed by CountyCom?
Yeah, that's where I found mine. So I have, both Jim and I have one of these. And I paid
those are cool.
Paid significantly less for mine.
Yeah.
And Jim's is a lot.
Hands, the little tubes.
And it's an automatic watch, and they're fantastic. They keep really good time.
Yeah.
And then I've got one that's not super fancy like that. I've got I've got one of their Pilot's watches that's an automatic. I'm not seeing it on here.
Yeah.
But a lot of, you know, like this watch right here, they're significantly more expensive now than they were when I started getting them.
Yeah.
But I've got like this one with, and then I've got another one that's like a smaller face, like a Pilot's watch. If you give me 2 seconds, I'll get it and bring it in. Be right back here.
Yeah. If I hit the lottery, I would as preposterous as it is, I would get the top of the line G-Shock they sell, which is the GWG 1000 Mudmaster, which is really a preposterous, enormous watch that's kind of like a Hummer of watches, but it's really cool and it does a lot of stuff. It's not exactly the epitome of good taste, but just me personally.
All right. Let me put myself up there. Hopefully it'll there we go. Okay, so this is one of my favorite ones. It was like some special limited release where they have the little red dial, and then on the back, if you pull the if I pull this band away, you can see the mechanism on the inside.
Nice. Did that NATO strap come with it, or is that
no?
An aftermarket?
You can buy these with from CountyCom. So that's where I've actually bought every single Marathon watch that I have.
Yeah.
And this is an automatic, but it doesn't have the tritium hands. It has that other one that they use in like the Luminox watches.
Yeah.
But
Lumibrite, I think.
Something like that. Yeah, and it works pretty good. Like over, you know, when I go out and camp and stuff, I always bring a watch because when I wake up at night, I'm used to waking up and looking at the clock. Yeah. And if I can't do that and I can't tell what time it is when I wake up, then I'll stay awake.
Yeah.
You know, so I usually bring a watch, and I've, you know, even in South America. See, here's the crazy thing. You get near the equator, and you'd think like, oh my God, it's going to be sunny all the time and blah blah blah. Well, it's a 12-hour day every day. It doesn't vary. You know. So it's dark for 12 hours, you know, and so even under those conditions, this the hands stayed bright all night. So
nice.
Yeah. But I think Jim is sending his off to get his tritium stuff replaced.
I like the Luminoxes that have the tritium tubes.
Yeah.
But they don't seem like a particularly good deal for what you get.
Yeah.
But they are cool. You know, there's definitely a cool factor to them. But I kind of like tool watches. You know, I like the high-end G-Shocks. I like Suntos and Protreks and all the nerdy triple sensor stuff. That's kind of my shtick.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want something to look at that is gonna tell me what time it is.
I mean, that's 99.9% of what I do with mine. I mean, I'll also set timers and stopwatches and things, but you know, if this adhesive has to cure for 30 minutes, I'll set a timer to remind myself.
Yeah,
which is helpful at work, but for the most part, I'm just like, it's time for lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're talking about watches and flashlights. Like, it's the same thing for me. Like, I have one flashlight. I have a nice. Let me get it. Oop. I have a nice light. I've got one. I have a Phoenix PD35.
Yeah.
And I don't feel the need to have another flashlight. Like, this one's real bright, and it's rechargeable. It takes a rechargeable 18650 lithium ion, and it has bounced off of many a concrete floor, and it still lights stuff up. And I understand the appeal of, having a bunch of flashlights. And like Anthony Scalabrini, he's got a ton.
Yeah.
He's got some flashlight that's like $1,000 too. The Spy 007.
Yeah,
which is super cool, but I would never in my life would I just need one.
Right.
It's like wallets. Like, people with different wallets is baffling. I just have the one leather trifle and that's it.
Let me show you something else that's also $1,000. Are you ready?
Yeah. It
might be $1,000.
It might be a better way to spend $1,000.
Yeah.
I know fuck all about guns. So I couldn't comment on that.
Yeah, that's a Kimber. Let me give you it's a Kimber Ultra CDP.
Yeah.
That I got on sale for $1,000. It's a 45, basically the smaller version of a 1911.
Isn't Kimber kind of generally a high-end manufacturer of handguns?
Oh yes.
Heard good things about them, and Sig Sauer I've heard good things about.
Yeah. So here's my favorite flashlight, because it's got a little clip on it.
Oh, is that a Surefire Titan?
Yeah.
Nice.
Surefire Titan is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
So I have
Heard
like a
good
little
things.
bag that goes a lot of places with me.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have a whole bunch of bags, and each one has like different crap in it. Like this one's got a Leatherman Juice 2.
Oh, those are awesome.
A Swiss Army knife with some stuff in there, and it's got my 45 in it.
My around the house Leatherman. You got one of these?
Oh no.
Skeletal
Not
CX. That's a must. You know why it's a must for around the house? Because it has the best bottle opener.
Okay.
It'll catch the cap of the beer and then bend it so that when you pull it off, the cap stays in the carabiner instead of flying somewhere.
Yeah. That's nice.
It is it is perfect for around the house because it's real. It's got a little knife on it, which is actually like 154 cm, which is cool. And then it does, it's got a liner lock built in.
That's nice. Yeah.
And then it's just got pliers, which are I've had two of these now, and both of the pliers have been ground unevenly, which is a problem with Leatherman. And then it's got a bit driver. And then storage for another bit right there. But so it's kind of a minimal, I think it weighs like 4.5 ounces. So it's not even, I mean, there's some zero tolerance folders that weigh more than that. And it's perfect for around the house. I love it. So
for multi-tools, it is damn hard to beat these
Victorinox
Swiss tools.
Yeah,
because it has the, so I've got two of these. I've got this one and I've got its big brother. But this one is the one that I've taken like everywhere, every time I go somewhere serious.
My dad has the full size Swiss tool, and he's had it for 10, 15 years. And he uses it a lot, and it's held up well. So you know how people in this community talk about EDC? I EDC this. I literally everyday carry, literally every day that I work, this is in a sheath on my belt, and I use it. And it's a Leatherman Charge AL. And it's kind of heavy and it's kind of overly complicated for what it is, but it's a fantastic tool. It really all of the implements on it lock. It's got a nice blade. I love the pliers. You can actually strip wire with them pretty well. So if you're doing wiring under a dash, that kind of thing, they got a nice little wire stripper in the Gap.
Yeah.
And it's real beat up. I saw that Leatherman just updated this and they put replaceable wire cutters on the new one. So, want one of those. But yeah, those are the two Leathermans. I gotta get one for the house and one for work. And I wish that Leatherman spent more time getting the details right in manufacturing.
Right, and that's why I have a Leatherman that I really love, and it's that Juice 2 that I showed you. One of the main reasons I love it is it's small and it's orange. So when I drop it, it's not a question of this. It's when I drop it in dense foliage, I can find it right away.
Gotcha.
Well, so same thing with this. It's shiny. I'm gonna be able to see that a lot easier than I am something that's like camo or black or something like that. But anyway, so what else you want to talk about? You got anything on your list?
I don't have anything in particular. No,
All right.
I could continue bitching about how bad the grind lines are.
Yeah, I know.
That hurts the tip. This.
Yeah, I think
these things are like $120. They should at least grind them right.
Well, I think the deal with those is that they, it's a mass produced. Where's it made? China?
America.
Really?
Yeah, this is made in I believe in Oregon. Only the $25 ones that they sell are made in China. The Wingman and the Sidekick, and there's one other one. Those are Chinese made, and you know what? They're better made than the American made. Most of the American made ones. I had a Sidekick briefly, and it was perfect. There was no manufacturing flaws with it. It wasn't as nice as far as materials goes. I mean, this has aluminum handles and phosphor bronze washers in it and all that. But the Sidekick was well made. But Leatherman makes cool stuff. I just wish they would make it better.
You just need a little better quality control.
It definitely works.
Yeah, so we were talking earlier about some Chinese made stuff, and the Chinese knives get a bad rap because of the knife you can buy for $5 at your convenience store, hanging on the little cardboard display. And so I've always been a little wary of them, but I'm like a huge fan of elephant toe knives. And I've got a collection of case elephant toes, like a lot of them, like a ton of them. And then I was looking to buy some more, and they only release them every once in a while. And when you see them on eBay, they're $200-300 minimum. And so I was like, well, I'll look on Amazon. And Rough Riders, which is a Chinese company, was selling these, and it was like dirt cheap. And I said, well, for that money, if it sucks, I'll just make a video and break it or something. And but I got it.
Throw it away if it's real offensive.
It's fantastic. I mean, the fit and finish on this, I can't tell the difference between this and one of my cases. And then somewhere around here, I was looking for it earlier, but I can't find it, which means it's in one of my bags. I've got, I think the Marbles makes a elephant toe that is probably made in the same factory because they feel identical and they're the same quality. And for me, this is a top quality, like, pocket knife, along the case style knives, the slip joint classic American folding knife. It's top quality. So whatever they're doing, they've figured out that if you want to sell knives in the American market, you can't sell shit.
Yeah. So you can't. And it's weird because the actual domestic Chinese manufacturers, so like Kaiser, Riot, Reich, Ruiki or Rake or however you pronounce, because they're two different brands. Best Tech, Stedman, all these Chinese companies that are domestically Chinese, they're making these killer knives. They're making really good stuff, and they're making it in S35 VN, and they're making it in like Kaiser's low-end stuff is VG10, and then Kaiser also has a even lower sub-brand they sell on Amazon called Tangram. That is made in the Kaiser factory from G10 stainless and Acuto 440, which is like a modified 440C. And they're selling these knives for like $30. and they're top-notch build quality. And then you've got the American manufacturers that have been sitting on their ass for a long time, selling stuff successfully through Walmart or whatever, like Kershaw, primarily dig at Kershaw. They're selling $30, $40 knives that are 8CR13 and, you know, plastic and steel handled and not particularly good. But then you've got all this, the actual Chinese brands are making much nicer knives than the American brands making knives in China.
Hey, we have, I think, as far as I know, my first viewer from Trinidad. So Trinidad,
cool.
I actually stopped there briefly, Trinidad and Tobago,
Mm-hmm.
and they have this great thing, and I know he knows what I'm talking about. It's Trinidadian doubles. So it's like you have it's almost like a little pita / tortilla, you know, about the size of your palm. And then it's folded in half, and they've got garbanzo beans and like some spicy sauce in there.
That sounds good.
Like, yeah, so chickpeas or garbanzo beans, Trinidadian doubles. I love those things.
Reminds me of an inappropriate joke.
Right. Well,
maybe another time.
So what's the name of this company you were saying selling stuff on Amazon? I'll look it up real quick.
Tangram, Tangram. So it's the lower, the value-oriented line of Kaiser. And
all right,
I think
I think
Kaiser's pretty well known at this point among the knife community. Some of Kaiser's stuff is, to me, I'm like, oh man, I want that. There's so much stuff Kaiser makes that I want that, you know, I'm just not hung up on stuff being Chinese anymore. Yeah, these, you know, $30 for, you know, G10 and Kaiser build quality and good steel. And you know, it's not a brand anyone's heard of. And some of them are weird. Like one of them is, oh, that's another one I want. The Kaiser Beglider, that one there, right in the middle.
One? Yeah, that's pretty nice. Oh, let me find it again.
Yeah. That one. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are cool too. So I mean, they're selling a really, really high quality product for, you know, not a lot of money. What are you getting for $50 in a Spyderco? A Tenacious, like, you know, 8CR steel and construction and ergonomics.
Yeah.
And you know, I had a Tenacious, and that was, you know, a lot of people rave about those. That was a catch and release for me. I'm not wasn't really into it. Although Anthony Scullambrini seemed to really like the new one in that series, the Efficient, which actually has a forward finger choil, which for me is like a instant 5 points if it's got a forward finger choil for a folding knife. I love that.
So Aaron ONeill says, hi from Kansas, sitting in the shop contemplating what handle materials to use on the handle for a little camp knife I'm working on. Ugh, so many options. So he just started making knives, and I got a picture of the first knife he made, and it blows away on so many levels the first knife that I made that it's not even funny.
Yeah,
like it's so much better quality than the first knife. Mine's sitting down there. I hesitate to show it, but I mean so much better than the first stuff I made. You know, so keep up the good work there, guy.
Aaron, I'm gonna shout out my vote for stacked denim micarta.
Stacked denim micarta. It's hard to find denim micarta though.
Well, I have a friend that made some.
Really?
Yeah. His name is Mike. He also lives in Raleigh. He has made stacked denim micarta himself, which is apparently a pretty interesting process. I don't know if you're looking for a complete material to shape or to actually make your own material, but I thought that was a pretty cool, different.
Yeah, I've had kind of material. Burlap micarta that was pretty cool.
That would be neat.
Yeah, it's really neat.
You were talking about traditionals. This is the one traditional I've got. It's a GEC Titouette Beer Scout knife in red jig bone. So it's got a nice little Warncliffe blade.
Yeah.
And then it's also got a bottle opener. So
yeah,
you know, all you really need, a knife and a bottle opener. That's what I carried to my wedding in 2016.
Nice. Yeah, I have actually probably more traditional folding knives than I do anything else, because that's honestly, that's a lot what I carry. So like this right here, this is a case back pocket. And it basically it's got a little lanyard. Yeah, and then I just, so that I don't lose it, and it's long enough that you can cut like cheese and stuff like that. So it's it's like finger length. You can cut cheese and summer sausage, and it's just a real simple knife, kind of pretty. And then it's got the little. So what I do is I attach like one of these, a loop, through this lanyard hole, and this loop is actually removable.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and then because I've used this, like anytime I bring a knife somewhere overseas or wherever, I'll use one of these and then just do the same process and loop it through my belt loop.
Oh, so it doesn't disappear.
Right, and so that I can't drop it, or if I lay down or sit down, it doesn't fall out of my pocket or something like that. But the case back pocket is, I a lot of times will bring that somewhere.
I had recently seen, I think Fallkniven is starting to make some traditional slip joints. I might be getting confused though, but I thought I had seen Fallkniven was making a slip joint that looked kind of like that. But yeah, traditionals are something I want to get into more in the future. I want to learn more about.
This is a case, I think it's the Case Peanut. One thing I like about these are, it's small, it disappears into a pocket. You can get a knife like that for $50, American made. And then I've always really liked the colorful handle materials like that. This is actually, I forget the exact name of it, but basically what it is it's the same stuff that they make bowling balls out of.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so,
like Kieranite or something?
Yeah, something like that. I always say it wrong, and I don't want people to jump down my throat. But like, for instance, here's a Case elephant toe from back in the day. I like those colorful handles, and then that doesn't even get started on like some of this celluloid handles.
Huh.
But it turns out that stuff's like flammable, I guess, and they don't really make those anymore. This is a Fightin' Rooster. These were made in Germany. I've got a few of these. This one is
what is that, Solingen or?
Yeah, it's Solingen. This one was made by Frank somebody or other. Anyway, but anyway, I've got a bunch of Fightin' Roosters. Those are hard as hell to come by. But I like the colorful handle materials that you get on these.
Yeah, that's some cool stuff. It's nice to see stuff that's not, burled walnut and like mammoth ivory and
So if people don't know what that is, this is a Strider knives. So it's more of like a tactical modern folder, and I just wanted to have one just to have one in the collection. I've never actually done anything with this.
Really? Never used it? How thick is that blade?
It's I would say it's just a little bit over an 1/8 inch.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, but it's this is back when there was this big push towards the quote unquote hard use folders.
Yeah, hard use.
Right, and so that's basically the only way I know to distinguish a hard use folder from.
It's that it doesn't cut well.
Yeah, usually the blade geometry is horrible, and the other thing is that they're usually a lot thicker and a lot, like the pins and things that are used for the pivots. Usually, I got one. You mentioned earlier when we were talking about lion steel, and I have some stuff from them. Like this is actually, if you want to talk about like. Oh shit! I can't find it.
Well, while you're looking, I've got a lion steel. That's actually the Spyderco Lion Steel collab, the full size Lion Spy. That is.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
That is just as Italian as knives get, man. It is really pretty, and it's made with nice materials, and it's nice to touch, and it does not work at all. It's not I can't. I've maybe carried this 2 or 3 times. It is so thick that it can't slice anything. Like look at the blade stock.
Yeah, I know.
And it's, you know, it's got the little Maletta designed roto block on there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a cool knife, but
another knife that's got some features like that is the one that Pelton made, the Hest.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, made by Lion Steel.
Made by Lion Steel. So I have in my collection here. The reason I plug them is that they actually make limited runs of left-handed frame locks.
Yes. Yep.
And it's one of the only companies that'll do it. And so I have the Hest 1.0 limited.
Are you a Southpaw?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it runs in the family, and it also it runs in plastic surgeons and musicians. So I on all 3 counts I was destined to be left-handed.
Is that a Grayman in your hand?
No, this is a Three Sisters Forge lefty beast.
That is badass.
In Damascus.
That is badass, Kyle. When did you get that?
I've had this one for a while, so I've actually had 2 of his knives.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second one, and my problem is that if people like beg me for something,
mm-hmm.
and they beg me for long enough, I usually just say fuck it and give it to them.
Yeah. And
so I had the lefty, either a beast or one of those models, very similar to this one. And James Nowka begged me, and I finally gave it to him.
Is he also a lefty?
Yeah, he's left-handed as well.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's been kind of one of the things is if a company is willing to make a left-handed version of whatever folder, then no matter what, I'm probably going to buy it.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of hard use, because I'm looking through my collection, and the only 2 I could really say are hard use is that, and then I also have a ZT 561.
Oh yeah, those are nice.
Which sadly is the only ZT I still have. I had a 550 that I traded that I wish I hadn't traded because it was really nice. But these are really well made.
Yeah, let me pull out another couple hard uses. I did an article for Blade a couple years ago where I took a bunch of these down to the Amazon jungle and beat them up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
Give me a second. All right, I found 3 more.
There you go.
Okay, so here's 3 more. This is a Seibert
Adamas.
Yeah, Adamas. This was number 603 of 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought that down. Let's see, in the chat, it's going crazy right now.
Yeah, I was trying to look through there and
Weelu. What's Weelu? W-E-E-L-U. I'll look that up in a second. So
yeah, I gotta Google that. I don't know what that is.
One of the only. This is a pretty good, hard use folder, I would say. It's got that access lock, which I like.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Are you ready? Can you guess what this is before I open it?
DDR?
Nope. Featured in a movie.
Severtech?
Yeah, Severtech Spartan.
Huh. Oh, I remember you talking about that on the Knife Journal podcast. What movie was that in?
Spartan.
Oh, okay.
And then this one is one that has gone all over the fucking world with me.
Those are cool. Those are very cool.
Yeah, this is the Hest. I think this is the 2.0, but you can see I've used this one a lot.
Yeah, that one's a
and
little
it's
beat
got
up.
the roto lock on it. Yeah, this
Yeah.
of all of my hard use folders, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote hard use, this is the one I've used the most,
It looks like it.
and I just love it. Man, that's
Another
left-handed.
another one that's good for that, assuming you're not in a humid climate. The
Oh yeah.
Spyderco Gale Bradley, the original Gale Bradley.
Mhm.
Not that I have anything against the new one that's got titanium liners and all that, but this is just really an underrated knife as far as Spyderco's go. I'm primarily a Spyderco guy when it comes to production knives.
Mhm.
And this is one of my favorites. I don't carry it as much as I probably should because it is kind of on the heavy side, and I generally have my PM2 in my pocket, which is it's kind of like the knife guy equivalent of like, oh yeah, I have an Accord. Like, yeah, we know, you know, but
Yeah. Yeah.
S110V PM2. There's a reason. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's
I like the paramilitary 2 from them a lot.
yeah,
And
that's what
then
this is.
this little thing, this little bugger from Spyderco.
Oh, is that
This
a
is
H1 salt?
H1 salty.
Uh-huh.
You know, a
Little
lot of
hot
us,
bill.
yeah, a lot of us I mean, it's just good for, um, a lot of us on the Amazon expedition would have these just on a little string around our neck.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're walking along and you need to cut something real quick, you just whip this out and cut it and close it back up.
Yeah.
You know, and that's basically what we were using them for. Here's one that Jim.
Oh, the 710.
Yeah, he carries the shit out of these. He's got them.
Doesn't he have two of them, like one
Yeah.
in each pocket?
Yeah.
That's glorious. When you really like a knife, you get two of them and you swap the clip on one of them.
Yeah, but
You gotta have a
loves
backup.
those. Like,
They don't make them anymore. They're discontinued now.
oh, they are?
Yeah,
Wow,
which is a freaking bummer.
I
looked recently.
The 940 a lot.
Yeah.
That's my favorite of theirs. And then I've got one that's like the 941 or something hanging around here somewhere. It was some special version of the.
Yeah. I've got a 484-1, which is a Nakamura design.
Nice.
That is really more of a like sit in the box and look at it because it's pretty.
Yeah.
But it does have really nice ergonomics. It's a nice shape. I think it's like 3.25 inch. But it does feel really nice. And I do like the axis lock. You know, they're smooth. And then I also have a hollow ground sheep's foot mini grip, but that lives in my wife's purse. Has been adopted by her. So
nice.
Gone to a good home.
All right, so I'm looking because the chat's going nuts about them. I'm looking for this Wheeloo thing. And I'm not sure I'm finding exactly what they were talking about, unless it's Wild Tribe folding card. Is that? I wonder if that's what they're talking about.
I see some like industrial equipment when I Google Wheeloo. It looks like a generator or something. But I don't know. Wheeloo Industrial Shop, Visma website. Yeah, that's in a language I don't. I don't know what Wheeloo is, guys.
Here's what you get for Google Images if you Google Wheeloo. So no, that says, I guess that's Walla.
Yeah.
Industrial. Yeah, like Aaron agrees it's an industrial equipment company, but
yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with it, but I'd like to learn more.
Yeah, I use all my knives at work, so it's for opening packaging and stripping wire and normal stuff. I'm not a camper or anything. I don't do outdoor stuff.
Speaking of which, I'll have to at the end here. I'll have to tell you what's coming up next week. Okay, so I have something that I saw today that is absolutely cool. I've been arguing that they should do this for a long time. All right, here it is. A customizable Buck 110.
Oh, neat! So you could get engraving.
You can you can change how it's made.
Oh, nice.
Finger grooves.
Hey.
Rivets. You can do different handle materials.
Nice.
You can do like water buffalo, G10, giraffe bone. There's like different different materials you can get on there. Ironwood.
Yeah.
You can get.
Can you pick different blade shapes and steels?
Yes, you can. Actually, so you can do a S30V drop point.
Nice.
S30V with
Clip
the
point.
Clip point, and then partial serrated one.
A Buck 110 looks really weird with the drop point. I'm gonna just come right out there and say it. That looks friggin' strange.
Yeah, I know, but I honestly, it's I actually
like a
wouldn't
Camaro
mind
front
that.
end on a Mustang. I'm sure it would be great. It's odd.
Yeah,
but that is cool. That's a lot of customization. Benchmade's customization program is pretty much just like pick your blade steel, colors, coating, and like engraving. They don't get into all these different grips, and that's pretty neat. And they're making an auto Buck 110 now too, like a push button auto.
Well, okay, so this is something that somebody sent to me. This is a Buck 110, and it's an auto Buck 110, but it's a left-handed auto Buck 110.
Weird.
Friend of mine sent that to me.
Is that like you lift up on the scale?
No, you press this. You press this right here.
Oh, that. Okay, I see. I got
that little button. This was a custom, I think.
Wow.
That somebody did. Just a friend of mine sent it to me. But I've been a huge Buck 110 fan. And I've had one of these for so long that I have it from back when they came with the leather sheath.
Yeah.
So this is my original Buck 110. But I really like it's a great knife, and plus, how can you go wrong carrying the knife that Bo and Luke Duke?
I think there's nothing wrong with a 110. I only own one Buck product, and it's a pretty weird one. You seen one of these?
Tell me about it.
It's a Buck Marksman, product number 830. It's made by Buck, but is designed by Grant and Gavin Hawk.
Okay.
The ones that did the Kershaw ET and the ZT Mud, and they do all sorts of neat lock types, and so it's got a strap lock on the back.
Oh, I've never heard of this.
This is the best flipping knife that's ever flipped. There's people, this flipper, no.
Oh my God.
The Buck Marksman. Okay, so the trick is, so you got it locked there, and when it's closed, you got it locked against a detent. You see the blade moves a little bit, but when it's in between, there's no friction on the blade. Nice. There's none. So when it's traveling, it's just like nothing flips like one of these things. And the lock itself is actually, once you break it in,
how does the lock, and I guess I don't understand how that's. Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah, so there's a little part that sticks up on the tang of the blade.
Yeah, and then you have to lift up on that to release it. And it's ambidextrous.
It's fully ambidextrous, and you can actually adjust the preload on the lock. So there's, I don't know if this camera, you see the little hole here? You can pass a little tiny Allen key in there, and you can move the lock backward and forward to adjust for wear. Of course, this one I haven't had to mess with at all. This is one of the ones I carry the most, along with the PM2.
What's the name of that? It's the Buck.
The Buck Marksman.
Okay.
It just and they make nicer versions of this too. They make a Tonto. They make this crazy high-end one that's like titanium handles and S90V and carbon fiber inlays, and but these run about $80. And it's for $80 they're really compelling. I mean, it's on caged ball bearings too. But I mean, they just flip so damn well. And Buck is another company that I think could work on their quality control a little bit, because it's actually the second one that I got. The first one came with 2 of the screws floating around in the box because the body holes were stripped out.
Oh boy.
And some of the stuff is kind of uneven on it, but as far as functionality goes, it's great. It's just they could work on the details a little more. But oh wow, that's really pricey.
But this is in the 154 cm or whatever.
Yeah, that's what this one is. It's 154 cm. With a Paul Bose heat treat. But it was around $86 when I got it on Amazon like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So prices vary, but they're fantastic knives. But Yeah, I've got a random collection of weird stuff over here.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, you have probably a more varied and better knife collection than I do. Now, if Jim was on here, he'd know all this stuff. Like I tell people, I'm not an expert on knives, and I don't have this crazy encyclopedic knowledge. So most of the stuff you're showing me, it's the first time I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of have what I have, and I use what I use, and that's, you know, kind of where it stops.
Well, I got another cool one to show you then. You probably might not have seen one of these before. It's a Kershaw NRG2.
Oh, cool.
And the neat thing about this is the flipper tab itself is like a two-piece. See how the flipper tab moves around separately? So that when you open it, the tab disappears. This one's been customized.
Very nice.
Yeah, this one's been customized. I got this in a trade.
Okay.
But it's got a little two-piece flipper tab. I don't know if they make these anymore, but they flip really well, and then you've got no flipper. It kind of hides away when you're in there. Yeah,
that's a neat idea.
Pretty neat. This one's got a bent clip. I gotta fix that.
Yeah.
You got a Kershaw blur?
Yeah, I do somewhere sitting around here. Blue-handled one. I've got a.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, somewhere I've got one, and the other one that I have, that's actually one of the very first assisted openers. Do you know what that was?
The random task.
Yes.
What's it called?
Yeah, Ken Onion designed. So I have one of the original random tasks, and then somewhere
worth some money these days.
Well, yeah, and mine is not only one of the original random tasks; it's left-handed.
What? I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, no, I actually I just saw it. I'll be right back. I got to show you. This is one of my all-time favorite knives, and I keep it in a special spot, separate from all this other crap. I'll be right back.
All right, no problem. I'm gonna grab a water while he's doing that. I'll be right back too. I know this makes for good radio. Sorry to all the people watching. Not quite firing on all cylinders today. There he is.
All right, here it is. So this is an original Kershaw random task with a black G10 handle. And then, you know, it's assisted opening. And it's left-handed.
Wow.
Yep.
I had no idea they made those.
Yep. And I've only ever seen two of these. This one. And when my uncle's also left-handed. Remember, I told you it runs in the family. When he saw this, he bought one.
Oh.
So we're the only two people I've ever heard of that have an original random task left hand.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they remade them a few years ago too, I think.
Yeah, the random task 2, and I have a video up on them. And I have a random task 2 sitting around here somewhere, but I don't like it.
Oh, it's different?
Yeah, it's not this. It's not as. There's something about the random task, like when you have it in your hand, it feels a certain way, and there's a certain elegance about it that is missing in the random task 2.
Yeah, and so I like the name.
Yeah.
Play on Odd Job.
Yeah, and it's actually very good at like your random task. You know, that's what. So it's actually aptly named. I need to oil and clean mine a little bit. It's not so snap openy anymore.
Yeah.
But when I first got it, you know, it was one of the only ones, one of the only assisted openers, and then Kershaw made a whole bunch of different models that were assisted opening.
Most everything they make is AO now.
Yeah, that's so you can thank Ken Onion for that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're cool when I like it in the leak, you know, in light stuff like that, but big knives like the big fat ZTs they used to make, like the 300, you know, it kind of go blop, like it's like a little too much mass for the spring they put in there, but
Yeah.
a lot of the smaller ones, they work really well. It's kind of a cool concept.
Do you have any Swiss Army knives?
I do. I have 2 right here. I think I own a total of 4. One of them's in my car, so you'll just have to believe me. But I have this is an Alox Pioneer. I believe this is a Pioneer.
Yeah, it's a real thin one. I've got a red one of those right up here that I was going to show, but.
And then I also have the same thing, but this is a Solo, so it's literally just the blade.
One blade. Yeah, I've got one of those
Alox Solo
somewhere too.
Hold on one sec.
Okay. When you're doing show and tell people, sometimes it takes a minute. Yeah, so here's the red Pioneer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love the Pioneer. Pioneer, I think, they make a Pioneer X now that has scissors, and that to me,
be sweet.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Because you used to have to pay big money to get somebody to add scissors to your Pioneer.
I have a video on how to do that.
Really?
This is a Victorinox Farmer.
That
I added scissors to.
Nice.
So this is a Victorinox Farmer, and there's the scissors.
Nice. Yeah. And my first knife that I ever had that ever got me into knives when I was like 10 is this.
Okay, which one is it?
That is an Explorer.
Oh, Explorer, yep.
Yeah, it's got the little magnifying glass, with a little polycarbonate lens. If I can even get it out. There you go. Yeah, it's got a little magnifying glass.
Yeah, I had one of those. You can burn ants with.
Yeah, you could burn ants with it. I found that out at a young age. as every good Boy Scout did. I got that when I was in Boy Scouts. So, but then I also have a cyber tool, but it's in my car. Because you have to keep a knife in your glove box, even though you probably have one in your pocket and one in your bag. You know how it is with knife people. You got to have a knife for your car. So I have a Cyber Tool 34 in a little leather sheath in my car.
I have, so for a while, and I don't know if they're still doing it, but Spyderco made a multi-tool that had like an actual, crescent wrench. That with one of those screw-driven crescent wrenches.
Yeah, I remember that. That was funky.
Bird tool.
Yeah.
So I have one of those in my car.
Yeah,
that's actually
spider
pretty
wrench.
useful. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And then I've just got random pocket knives in there, just because it seems like when you don't have one, you need it.
Yep.
So I just always have them around, and I use them quite often. Okay, so moving on. So I talked about Victorinox. Okay, so we should do. Okay, so this article, and it's linked in the description there, folks. This article lit my Facebook up last night because I put it on there to basically kind of troll people. So these
these dumbasses.
Yeah, I know, these 20-somethings. Okay, so here's the crazy thing. Okay, you have a 26-year-old and a 24-year-old. Okay, when I was 26, I was probably a 3rd year or 4th year medical student at the time, right? And 24, I was probably a 1st year medical student. Their entire combined wealth at those ages was $10,000.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable,
Yeah.
what?
And then they didn't insure it. Now, this is one of those things where I have to point out 2 things. One is that I am technically a millennial by the year that I was born in. I was born in 1987. I'm technically a millennial, and I have a full-time job that is skilled labor that I taught myself, and I, live on my own. Well, me and my wife live on our own, and we own both of our cars, and we are independent adults. But on the other hand, sometimes I understand the hatred that millennials get on the internet because of dumb bullshit like this.
Yeah, so
most of the time, it just seems like baby boomers hating on millennials because it's funny without realizing a lot of the depth of the problem. But
Right.
stuff like this, like, goddamn millennials, like, you're making the rest of us look bad.
Right. Okay.
You
So,
know?
long story short, they sold all of their shit. Everything they had was only worth 10 grand, and
They got a shitty
like,
old boat.
we're gonna live our dream, and they bought this boat, and then they were gonna, take to the open seas. Neither one of them had ever fucking sailed or been on water at all of
Yeah.
any kind in their lives. They made it 30 miles, and then this happened.
It reminds me of people that are like 18 and just bought their first car that's a 95 Accord. And they join a car forum, and then a week later they're saying, I'm going to swap a Chevy Corvette motor into this thing. It's like, no, the fuck you are not. No, you are not. That's not ever going to happen. I would bet all of my toes that will not occur. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about or doing. Like, I'm surprised they made it 2 days.
Yeah, actually, they didn't quite make it 2 days. I mean, it was like 24 or 25. It was like, technically it was 2 days because it was 2 calendar days, but it was really like 30 hours or something.
That's embarrassing.
So that I put a link up on Facebook, and people just went absolutely fucking apeshit. And then
it was pretty funny.
So it turns out they got like a GoFundMe page set up to try to pay.
Fuck people that do that. Go fund yourself, you lazy piece of shit. Excuse my language. Like, come on. That's not how that works. I hate that crap. Oh my God, GoFundMe pages. I mean, there are exceptions to every rule, but no. Like, get a job. Buy some insurance for your next boat, you dumbass.
Yeah. Or like, better yet, fucking take some boating classes. Your community college probably will teach you how to do that,
Yeah.
You do that here's the other thing about water that people don't understand, right? Every year people drown in rivers and Great Lakes and shit like this because they're doing something. They have no idea how dangerous water is.
Yeah. Water will kill you.
Yeah, even if you're a strong swimmer, like I'm a very, very strong swimmer, like I do not screw around with water. I don't go out there without a life jacket, and I sure as hell, I can sail. I spent an entire summer sailing. There's no way you could talk me into doing what they did.
No.
No way.
Did you see that? Did you see that Liquid Spring Death Water ad?
No.
Oh my God! You've got to watch that. It's on YouTube. It's kind of long, but it's yeah. That note to anybody watching: you need to look up. It's Liquid Death Spring Water. Murder your thirst. It talks about how water is the deadliest liquid on Earth compared to everything else, and it kills all these people. It's really funny. They're really funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you gotta look that one up.
And like, I think learning how to swim is a relatively recent thing because my grandma didn't know how to swim. Like, had no clue. Was like deathly afraid of going anywhere near water.
Yeah.
But that's because back when she was coming up, it was the Depression, and they didn't have such a thing as a municipal pool. And her parents didn't know how to swim, so who's going to teach her?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But anyway, like, it's just, especially rivers are just so dangerous.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be out there. And if you even if you do, you better have a life jacket and a way out. Okay, so then the next article, this falls into the category of, yeah, so what?
Oh, the BBC News article?
Yeah, BBC News says children as young as 11 caught carrying knives. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we live in a very different time now, but when I was 11, I had tons of knives, and I carried them all the time. Like, just because you carry a knife doesn't mean you're like, gonna do bad shit with it. In fact, I'll show you my the first knife that anybody ever bought for me. This isn't the actual knife, that's hidden away somewhere. But my first knife at 8 years old was this. fixed blade buck knife. I think it's the Woodsman or something like that. But you know, so like even an 8-year-old kid, you know, I never got into trouble with this thing. I never, you know, I maybe got a few cuts or something like that. But how the hell else are you going to learn to use a knife? You know.
I came along later, and this exact Swiss Army knife actually got me suspended for 3 days from middle school because I forgot to take it out of my pants pockets. Yeah, and it was like, I went camping this weekend. What's the fucking problem? But you know, everybody views tools as weapons, even though, boy, it would be a lot easier to kill someone with a claw hammer. I'm just saying, I've got an S-Wing, like 16-ounce hammer. You could murder the fuck out of somebody with that thing. Now, it is an instant, immediate murder weapon. Yeah. Like, you know how hard it would be to kill someone with a Swiss Army knife?
Oh, yeah.
You'd cut your finger off, for one thing.
Yeah, if you tried to stab somebody, the lock would collapse, and
oh my god, yeah,
it'd be a problem. But I could murder someone with a Swiss Army knife, but I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't like my chances.
Yeah, it'd be very difficult for somebody that didn't understand anatomy and stuff. Okay, now this one's great. This is my second Florida Man article of the day, and I just have to show this because I love Florida Man stories. Okay, one arrested in knife versus belt fight, and
he's just grinning away.
Yeah, he loves it, man. He knew he was going to be famous. So he says, a Naples man was arrested for allegedly pulling out a knife at a group of people. It happened in the area of 28th Place, blah, blah, Naples, Florida. One of the victims told deputies that she was driving 2 people to work when she saw this guy standing in front of her car with his dogs. When the driver and the passengers exited the vehicle to apologize for not seeing Arnold, he pulled a black folding knife from his pocket and became verbally abusive. As a result, one of the passengers pulled off his belt and started swinging it.
What? That sounds effective.
His
what are you doing?
The passenger was so frantic in his defense that his belt buckle hit the driver and the second passenger. And they found the knife in a nearby mailbox. So
let's take bets on what kind of knife it was. I'm going with, roll the dice, a Cold Steel.
Yeah, probably.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but actually the belt buckle defense, that's actually, you got a little, what do they call that? Like a Morning Star. If you've got a heavy enough belt buckle, like that can be pretty effective.
I've got one of those scratchless belts through our uniform company at work, because you don't want to scratch paint on cars. So it folds on itself, and it's got some pegs, so it sits in like that. So I guess if you swung it the right way, you could hit someone in the side of the head with the little slanted pegs, but probably not as effective as the S-Wing hammer. I'm going with that. That's
he takes his belt off and says, "I'm going to put a whooping on you, boy."
Yeah, right. You know, people always say, why is it always Florida? Like, why is it always Florida? I think it's because it's so humid that people are just insane. You know, they just lose their minds. It's, oh my God, it's 100 degrees and 94% humidity for the 100th day in a row. Get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Well, let me. There's another reason too. Let me figure out what it is. I want to give an accurate number here.
Yeah, it's always Florida, man.
Florida has 20.61 million people living in it.
Yep.
So
that's
a
lot of people.
It's like whenever you have big populations of people, and most of Florida isn't like most of those people live like in Miami or in other cities, and they're packed in together, you know.
Yeah.
Like there's parts of Florida that are rural as fuck. The stories don't come from there. They come from like, you know, places where people are living on top of each other. So like when
20.6 million people. That's why you don't hear about New Mexico, man, you know.
Yeah. Or Iowa.
Or Iowa, man.
Yeah, there's like 3 million people living there, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just the population density is so low. So like when I moved to Chicago back in '97, you know, it'd be on the nightly news. It'd be like some crazy story after another, like scissors truck runs into school bus and injures 30 kids with flying scissors or something like that, you know. So it's one of those things. It's like you know, when you have big populations, you'll get these odd stories. That, you know, odd stories happen in Iowa too, but it's far less because there's so fewer people. You know, if it's a 1 in a million story, you're going to get 20 stories like that a year out of Florida.
Yeah, that's true, because there's 20 million people.
Yeah, and then the demographics. You got people from different demographics butting up against each other, and that creates a lot of friction.
Yeah,
I know we're not supposed to say it does because of the Overton window and all of that, but that sort of thing produces a lot of tension and friction. So you're going to get crazy shit happening.
Yeah,
that's my theory on Florida anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, just the sheer population. What was it they say? If you're 1 in a million in China, it means there's 1,000 other people like you.
Like, exactly like you.
Near enough to be indistinguishable.
I said that to somebody once, and they got really offended, and I'm like, "What's offensive about that?" You know?
And statistically speaking,
yeah,
people get real offended. You know, it is though. It's not like Vietnam where like 75% of the country has the same surname, which is got to be confusing as fuck for their phone books. I feel bad, you know. God.
Well, I think what's
his last name? Nguyen.
Yeah. Well, I think in China there's only like 5, right?
I think
there's like 5 main ones anyway.
I can't speak to that, but I know that there's like most of Vietnam has the same, like the majority of Vietnam's last name is Nguyen.
Yeah.
And I actually read an article about why it is, and it had something to do with families changing their name so as to not be murdered by the king of Vietnam a few hundred years ago. And it was really interesting, but you know, it is hard to find who you're looking for.
I've got at least a half a dozen friends from Vietnam. All of them are last name Nguyen.
Yeah. Yeah, my best friend's last name is Nguyen, and I've known a bunch of people with the same last name. Also, a couple of fans, Phan, but that's another common one. But it's an interesting cultural phenomenon. But
I don't have much else. What else you got?
Unless we want to make fun of some really overpriced knife garbage, I don't have anything else in particular. I will say that if you spend $120 on a SOG, you need to get your head checked. Just throw that out there. I did a review of this one a while ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. It's bad. This is the SOG spec arc. One of my friends pointed out that there's a reason that SOG actually stands for sack of garbage.
Oh, Jesus. That's hardcore.
That's a company that really needs to turn themselves around as far as the quality of their products.
Yeah, I mean, I've only ever owned one SOG, and I was extremely disappointed in it. And I've said before, I like movie knives. The particular movie was that one with Marky Mark, and he had a SOG, and it had like this Kydex sheath, and then there was like a little hole in the Kydex sheath at the tip where you could access the blade without pulling the blade out. So like if you just needed to cut some string or something.
Weird.
And so I ordered that, and it didn't come with the right sheath, and I was so pissed off I just gave it away. I'm like, fuck this knife. Fuck SOG.
Yeah, SOG is a garbage company. They really are.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to go that far, but I will say that I did buy one SOG knife, and I was disappointed in the outcome of that purchase. So
yeah, they I haven't seen anything from them that I liked, but hope springs eternal. You know, they are making some autos in the U.S. now, or someone's making them for them, I presume, because they're like aluminum handle and S30V, and they kind of look like Protex.
Okay.
So that's my guess.
Jim has a SOG multi-tool that he really loves, and he loves it.
I've heard that their multi-tools are
Yeah, he loves it so much that he's bought like 2 of them.
Uh-huh.
And I think I think he's got a multi-tool from them that's got an automatic blade on it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they make some cool stuff. They have compound leverage pliers on some of their multi-tools. They have little gears on the hinges that increase. They like double the amount of leverage that you put on the handles, which is cool.
Cool.
So they make some neat multi-tools, but their knives are not good.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with them. There are certain companies that I kind of look at it and I just know I'm not super interested in it. For the most part, they fall into that category. But whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. What else have you got?
I've got a bunch more knives, but we've already been on for an hour and a half. So
yeah, I probably better get going.
Yeah. So, well, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Kyle.
Yeah. Good to talk to you, and we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, man, it was fun, and thanks to everybody that tuned in to watch and ask questions and all that. I still don't know what Wheeloo is, but I'm going to try to figure that out because I'm curious. So
yeah. All right. Later.
All right. Yep. Have a good one. See ya.